This is Good Morning Iowa with Scott Smith. Weather with Patty Derrick. And a 5 Alive report with Cammie Powers.
Good morning, Iowa. I'm Scott Smith. It is Thursday, April 25th. The Metro School District's zero tolerance policy on weapons is getting tested once again, this time at West Des Moines Dowling. The weapon, a sawed-off shotgun. More methamphetamine on the streets means more meth labs making the drug. This morning, you'll go on a practice run with a special unit that breaks up these labs.
And it looks like for today, we're going to be quite windy throughout central Iowa. I'm Patty Derrick. I'll have your forecast.
And if you like the options cable gives you, you may be paying more for them with a pay hike. We'll tell you just how much. A West Des Moines Dowling student faces not only expulsion, but jail time as well. A sawed-off shotgun was found in the freshman's locker. Administrators were tipped off about the gun yesterday afternoon. The 16-year-old boy is charged with possessing and carrying the gun to school. Now, if convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison. No one was injured. The boy's name is not being released this morning. Well, during his last campaign and start of this year's legislative session, Governor Branstad said it was time to get tough when it comes to drugs. Well, yesterday, the governor kept that promise. Governor Branstad signed a law to crack down on methamphetamine makers, users, and distributors. Anyone convicted of a meth-related crime would face up to 50 years in prison and a fine of $1 million. That law goes into effect July 1st. A $112.5 million tax cut package will likely be approved, but not before the budget battle ends. Lawmakers are still fighting over 8 bills in the $4 billion budget. Yesterday, lawmakers approved an $84 million package paying for state regulatory agencies. And they are also asking for a study into the state lottery's advertising methods. Well, there are some bills the governor will be able to ink into law. The latest is a bill to let government workers retire early. The new provisions allow workers to retire when their age plus years with the state equals 88, providing the fund can afford the change. Teachers could retire after 25 years, regardless of their age. Well, if you are a channel surfer, you will soon be paying more for all those channels you're constantly flipping through on cable. The 1st of June, Metro customers will pay more than $2.50 more a month. And if you live in Ankeny, Stablerville, and Bondurant, you'll pay $4 more a month. Well, do families think about the hike?
I think it's already expensive enough, and our reception isn't very good. Sometimes it's pretty fuzzy. But we usually can call in, and they say that they're going to get it fixed with the fiber optics and stuff coming to Ankeny soon. So.
And the Vandenbergs say they like the cable options, but the price may force them to consider their other options. An Urbandale man has pled guilty to Medicaid fraud. Stephen Wise was initially charged with more than 400 violations. Wise was a pharmacist in Des Moines and accused of submitting fraudulent claims to Medicaid. Those claims totaled about $250,000. Authorities say he faces the same penalty for one charge as he would if he were convicted on all of them. Iowan Randy Weaver is helping the FBI talk out the Freemen. Now, that's according to James Bo Greitz, who helped end Weaver's siege at Ruby Ridge. Greitz says he and Weaver and another activist will tell the Freemen today to come out and take their chances in federal court. Randy Weaver's wife and son and a federal marshal were killed in the Ruby Ridge standoff in Idaho in 1992. And IBP in Nebraska wants to stop illegal immigrants. They're now using a national computer database to stop people using false documents. Basically, the computer checks the registration number and name on the work permit, also known as a green card. The Immigration and Naturalization Service asked IBP to join the program because of its size. Historically, meatpacking plants draw illegal immigrants. Some inner city residents not only want to turn their community around, they also want to watch it grow. Volunteers and neighborhood associations are planting a garden at the corner of 16th and University. They say it will be a community effort to keep it alive.
It was what now?
It was rumored that this was a drug house and they knocked it down last year.
Really?
And
so have you found much drug paraphernalia?
Right now we've only found one syringe. A lot of glass, a lot of bottles, bricks from the foundation.
Now, this garden is just one of several that are sprouting up throughout the metro throughout the spring. When it comes to crime, many people have different ideas of what causes it. Author Jay Marcus, speaking at Drake University yesterday, believes stress is the main cause of crime. Managing it is one prevention. His Drake University criminology class learned about the effects of proper diet, stress management, and even muscle exercise. Well, have you ever stopped to notice how much noise is around us? From the alarm clock buzzing in your ear in the morning, your child's stereo, and construction along the freeway on your commute. Well, health professionals say 1 in 10 of us suffers a hearing loss. If you have to shout to be heard by someone nearby, the noise level may be damaging your hearing.
It can damage the little tiny hair cells that are deep inside our ears where we can't see. Once those become damaged, it's a permanent damage, and that eventually makes it hard for us to understand speech. In turn, that makes us not want to communicate with people because we have a hard time understanding.
Yesterday, doctors observed Noise Awareness Day by asking for 1 minute of total silence yesterday afternoon. Well, if you think your significant other is losing a little bit of the passion this morning, try putting a pickup truck in front of their lips. Matt Swin kept his smacker attached to a new Chevy pickup truck for more than 72 hours to take the truck home. The Kiss-Off was part of a fundraiser for the Ames Boys and Girls Club. The event raised more than $10,000. And the wind is whipping up once again, but still it doesn't seem to be whipping up any rain throughout central Iowa. Let's check with Patty to see if that might be changing. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning, Scott. It looks like for today we're going to have quite windy conditions, as a matter of fact, heading out the door. Here's the U.S. satellite. Let's put it into motion for you and show what's going on. Low pressure right now is centered over Minnesota, and what's going on with that is we had the front part of it the past couple of days with that warm front that brought in some clouds and some moisture, and now we're going to see the cold front moving through Iowa, and what that's going to do is eventually clear things out. We could see some sunshine this afternoon, but for the morning, we're going to see temperatures drop just a little bit, and we're also going to see a chance of a widely scattered shower, especially north of I-80. Temperatures around the metro, we have right now 68 in Des Moines. We also have over in Ankeny about 60 degrees. It's also in the 60s throughout most of the region for today. And what we're going to see in our forecast is a wind advisory for today. 67 degrees, winds out of the west, about 20 to 30 miles an hour and gusty. And then for tonight, we're going to see cloudy skies and 36 degrees, and it's still going to be pretty windy as well with northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles an hour. Now, the extended forecast is looking like this, and I'll bring that up for you. We're going to see a possibility of nice dry weather tomorrow, 50 degrees, and maybe we're going to keep our fingers crossed that by Sunday we'll see a chance of significant rain in 53 degrees, 56 on Monday, temperatures just a little bit below normal.
And those raindrops we see there for today, looking
That's
widespread, or is that just going to wrap up by the time you head to your commute?
Looks like that's going to probably be dying down about mid-morning today.
All right, well, we'll hope that we get at least a little bit of that yet this morning.
That's right.
All right. Well, coming up next here on Good Morning Iowa, it is one of the most addictive drugs on the streets. We'll show you how police are cracking down on meth labs next in our Morning Focus.
News 5 weather is brought to you by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer.
Well, it is on the streets, and it is in more homemade labs in Iowa. Methamphetamine continues to be a growing drug throughout our community. This morning, Julie Kraft shows us how a special drug response team is being put into action.
It's not a real raid, just a rehearsal, but you'd never know it judging by the intensity here. This is the state's drug lab raid team. Training like this is becoming more important as more labs manufacture methamphetamine in Iowa.
We're seeing a lot of homemade labs going up because the cost is very minimal and the profit is very high on the other end of it.
Last year, this group took down 8 labs around the state. Already this year, they've surpassed that number with 11, and they expect to see many more.
I look for us to get over 20, probably closer to 30.
The state formed its lab raid team 4 years ago, and because of the increase in labs, they're already having to increase the size of the lab raid team.
We had to increase the number of personnel on our lab units just for the mere fact that one day we hit 3 labs in one day. It is so physically demanding on the individual.
The latest lab to be dismantled was this one north of Des Moines last Friday. Authorities say labs like this can go up anywhere in the state overnight. In garages, even motel rooms. You just never know.
Let them know what you've done so far would have saved them a whole lot of time. Virtually the whole thing had been cleared, hadn't it? You know, it's dark up there.
Because no lab is the same, training is all the more critical. The chemicals in these labs are dangerous and highly explosive. Officers have to be very careful. Already this year, 2 labs have blown up in Iowa. Near Johnston, Julie Kraft, News 5.
And the special unit is made up of state troopers, narcotics officers, a fire marshal, and even a chemist. Well, it looked a little more like batting practice when the Twins took on the Tigers yesterday. Keith Murphy has the details in your morning sports.
Good morning. Most Major League Baseball teams hold batting practice before their games. That's the way it usually goes, but not so for the Twins and Tigers. Pitching? We don't need no stinking pitching. 2 on in the third. Twins veteran Paul Molitor jacks one upper deck deep. That's a 3-run pop, and it's 7-2 Twins after 3, but they would lose the lead. Nice grab out there, by the way. Mark Lewis hits not 1, but 2 dingers for the Tigers. And after 8 straight runs, Detroit goes up 10-7. But the Twins answer with 17 consecutive runs. 17, that's 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Scott Stahoviak clears the bases with his 3-run double. And what the heck, Scott? Come on down. Come on, score. It's a Little League Grand Slam. Twins score a club record 24 runs as hot dog vendors pitch the 9th inning, 24-11. Amazing sports story of the week. A high school baseball game in Texas was called after 3 innings when one team had already stolen 80 bases. 80 steals in 3 innings. Chirino High won the game 34-4 over Tinaja. Good to hear a team still running up by 30. First place I-Cubs in Louisville, and the Cubs start the series with a tough 1-run loss. Redbirds win it 4-3. I'm Keith Murphy, and that is Morning Sports.
Hi, my name is Emily Hicks from Iowa State University. Good morning, Iowa.
Well, it is starting out to be a warm and a mild morning, but Patty, it looks like we're going to get into some wind a little bit later this morning. Let's check in with Patty now and find out about the forecast.
Well, as a matter of fact, it is going to be kind of windy. It is already quite windy if you're heading out the door. The regional satellite right now is showing an area of low pressure that is centered pretty much over Minnesota for this hour. Now, what's going to be happening is you can kind of see the center of that low. It's just entering the Minnesota area. It's in South Dakota and North Dakota. We're seeing the effects of a cold front that's making its way through the state. It ought to be reaching Lamoni by about 7 o'clock this morning, and we're really seeing some winds pick up for today. And we're also seeing a chance of maybe a widely scattered light rain shower as well for this morning. Those should be ending this afternoon, but we're going to continue to see high winds for today. And temperatures are quite mild still, even though the cold front is moving through right now. This hour at 63 in Des Moines, with 64 in Ankeny, 67 in Newton, 68 in Knoxville, and 57 in Atlantic. You can see some of the cooler air that's making its way through. Now for today right now, we are seeing some calm weather, and we're going to continue to see calm weather for tomorrow as well. But we might see for tonight, as we get into tomorrow, maybe a slight chance that we could see a light shower in the northeast part of the state, maybe even mixed with some snow, but that's just a slight chance of that. Let's take a look at the forecast. We're going to see for today that wind advisory, 67 degrees with west winds about 20 to 35 miles an hour and gusty. For tonight, we'll see 36 degrees, northwest winds 20 to 30, still quite cold. And then for the extended forecast, we'll have that coming up in just a little bit, talking about how we do see another chance of rain once we get to the weekend.
Still ahead here on Good Morning Iowa, we'll have some helpful tips for cooling your house in this morning's About the House.
About the House is brought to you by Central Iowa Mutual Insurance and Washpoint Auto Wash.
We all want to keep our houses cool in the summer, but how can we do it? Here's Michael Holligan with the answer in this morning's About the House.
You can start by putting your thermostat on the highest comfortable setting. 78 degrees is a good goal. Then keep your ceiling fans or portable fans on to help circulate the cool air and help you feel comfortable. You might be surprised at how cool 78 degrees can feel with the fans blowing the air all around you. You can also give your cooling system some help by cleaning or replacing dirty air filters at the beginning of the season. Then change them at least once a month. You'll increase the efficiency of your cooling system by allowing the air to flow freely. Energy efficiency expert Nick Herndon says some of his best advice is the simplest.
Is to make sure that we don't leave the doors open during the summertime. Develop good habits, especially with children, so that you don't have the inrush of hot air during the summertime and cause the air conditioner to work harder. Another thing is to check around windows and doors, check the weather stripping, and make sure that they're caulked so that they are airtight.
Keep drapes and blinds closed on windows that receive direct sunlight. And think about planting shade trees on the east and west sides of your house to protect them from the hot summer sun. If you plant trees that lose their leaves in the winter, the sun will help warm your house during the cold months of the year. To make sure that your air conditioning unit functions properly, remove any plants or shrubs away from the unit and check the top of the unit for any leaves or debris that might have fallen in during the winter time. If you'd like more information on how to keep your home energy efficient during the summer, you can contact us on the internet or write us here at the station. I'm Michael Holligan, About the House.
And it looks like today, if you're trying to keep things cool in the house, just open up the windows because there's going to be a pretty big gust whipping through there.
Yeah, it'll definitely take any dust that's been sitting on the furniture off, that's for sure. Let's take a look at the radar and show what's going on. Right now, a lot of that not hitting the ground. Maybe in northwest Iowa, they're seeing a chance of some light rain right now. That's what we're seeing reported in, at least. We're going to see for this morning a wind advisory, and by midday about 62 degrees, and winds out of the west about 20 to 35 miles an hour and gusty. And the extended forecast is looking like this. That morning shower, just widely scattered showers as you're heading out the door for today. Just very windy. That's the main concern. In that 70 degrees we saw a while ago. It'll probably be about 67 degrees when you're heading home from work for today. Dry tomorrow, Saturday as well. Temperatures in the 50s. Another chance of a shower on Sunday and 53. And on Monday looks to be dry but cloudy and 56 degrees. Weather school question for today. The air behind a cold front is usually what? More humid or less humid? And today's a really good indication of that. We'll talk about that and have the answer for you in the next half hour.
And it looks like we've got a nice cool weekend for all the athletes over at the Drake Relays this weekend. Do a lot of the competition. At least keep it a little cool. It'd be nice to have it wet because the Drake Relays can handle that.
Yeah, at least they don't have to go under snow like last time.
Exactly. I think any type of precipitation would feel nice right now. Well, it's time that you've all been waiting for all half hour to announce our Breakfast Club winners for this Thursday morning. Marvin Engel of Prairie City and Donna McKinley of Rippey, you have just won 2 free breakfasts from Shoney's Restaurants, plus a half gallon of orange juice from Robert's Dairy.
Now, if you'd like to join, just send your name and address to the Breakfast Club, Box 724, Des Moines, Iowa, 50303, and we'll draw 2 winners every morning. Stay with us.
This is Good Morning Iowa with Scott Smith, weather with Patty Daring, and a 5 Alive report with Cammie Powers.
Hi, I'm Amy Beard. I'm from Iowa State University. Good morning, Iowa.
Good morning, Amy Beard, and good morning to all of you. Welcome back to this half hour of Good Morning Iowa. Well, it is one of the fastest growing drugs in our state and one of the most addictive. This morning, we'll show you what the governor and local agencies are doing to crack down on methamphetamine. A West Des Moines Dowling freshman is accused of bringing a sawed-off shotgun to class. Now that student could face time behind bars.
And it looks like for today, you might see a morning sprinkle as you're heading to work, but boy, is it going to be windy. I'm Patty Derrick. I'll have your forecast.
And if you like to surf the channels through your cable, it will soon cost you more. We'll tell you about the latest rate hike. But we start this half hour with an effort to crack down on methamphetamine. Governor Branstad has signed a tough new law. Anyone convicted of a meth-related crime would face up to 50 years in prison and a fine of $1 million. Governor Branstad says methamphetamine is growing fast, and in order to stop it, there has to be a tougher penalty. That law goes into effect July 1st. Police want to make sure drug users and makers and dealers have a chance to try out the new law. They're also taking special measures. The state has created a team to break up meth labs. This is a practice raid by the unit. So far this year, the unit has dismantled more labs than in all of 1995.
I look for us to get over 20, probably closer to 30, because we've done some training throughout the state of Iowa to law enforcement officers, and we hear a lot of horror stories of what they've already missed so far in the lab investigative stage.
Meth has become so popular because it's easy to make and also easy to distribute. Well, there is still a budget battle brewing at the State House, and it appears neither side is crossing the battle lines this morning. 8 bills in the $4 billion budget are still being debated. Yesterday, lawmakers approved an $84 million package paying for state regulatory agencies. They approved money to hire 2 more nursing home inspectors, and they also want a study into the state lottery's advertising methods. And while the budget battle continues, the governor does have some bills on his desk to consider. One of them is a bill to allow state workers to retire early. The provisions allow workers to retire when their age plus years with the state equals 88. providing the fund can afford that change. Teachers could retire after 25 years, regardless of their age. And teachers say a West Des Moines Dowling student packed more to school than just books yesterday. A sawed-off shotgun was found in the freshman's locker. Administrators were tipped off about the gun yesterday afternoon. The 16-year-old boy is charged with possessing and carrying the weapon to school. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison. No one was injured. The boy's name is not being released this Thursday morning. An Urbandale man has pled guilty to Medicaid fraud. Stephen Wise was initially charged with more than 400 violations. Wise was a pharmacist in Des Moines and accused of submitting fraudulent claims to Medicaid. Those claims totaled about $250,000. Authorities say he faces the same penalty for one charge as he would if he were convicted on all of them. Randy Weaver's wife and son and a federal marshal were killed in the Ruby Ridge standoff in Idaho in 1992. Now Iowan Randy Weaver is helping the FBI talk out the Freeman. That's according to James Bo Greitz, who helped end Weaver's siege at Ruby Ridge. Greitz says he and Weaver and another activist will tell the Freeman today to come out and take their chances in federal court. Cable prices are on the rise once again in the Metro. The 1st of June, Metro cable customers will pay more than $2.50 more a month. And that's a 12% increase since last August. In Ankeny, Saylorville, and Bondurant, you can expect to pay $4 more a month. Some families are now evaluating their options.
I think it's already expensive enough, and our reception isn't very good. Sometimes it's pretty fuzzy, and but we usually can call in, and they say that they're going to get it fixed with the fiber optics and stuff coming to Ankeny soon. So
the Vandenbergs say because of the hike, they may be forced to look for an alternative. Some residents are turning an inner city corner of Des Moines into a garden spot. Volunteers say the community will all pitch in to clean up the area, plant it, and now watch it grow.
It was what now?
It was rumored that this was a drug house and they knocked it down last year.
Really?
And
so have you found much drug paraphernalia?
Right now we've only found one syringe. A lot of glass, a lot of bottles, bricks from the foundation.
Now this is one of several projects to help beautify the inner city. Volunteers say with everyone working together, it brings that community closer. Well, how do you stop crime? More prisons, more education? What about tougher laws? The book author Jay Marcus says stress is the principal cause of crime. How we manage it is essential to eliminating crime. He spoke to this Drake University criminology class yesterday about proper diet and stress management, even muscle exercise to help. And more than 1 in 10 of us suffer from impaired hearing. Excessive noise is the leading cause. Health professionals used yesterday to make us aware of the amount of noise around us. They say if you have to shout to be heard by someone nearby, the noise level may be damaging your hearing.
It can damage the little tiny hair cells that are deep inside our ears where we can't see. Once those become damaged, it's a permanent damage, and that eventually makes it hard for us to understand speech. In turn, that makes us not want to communicate with people because we have a hard time understanding.
Temporary hearing loss usually disappears within 14 hours. If it lasts longer, you need to see a doctor. Going once, going twice, sold. Camelot is being auctioned off piece by piece. The Kennedy auction is raising eyebrows and lots of money. A couch worth about $1,500 sold for $28,000. President Kennedy's cigar box auctioned off for $500,000. And Carolyn Kennedy's rocking horse and high chair attracted $85,000 each. Well, in Ames, the price of a new pickup truck was simply a kiss. A 72-hour kiss from Matt Swin. He took home a new Chevy pickup. It was all for charity. The Ames Boys and Girls Club received more than $10,000 from the fundraiser. Well, we are waking up to a warm morning, but Patty says a windy afternoon's in store. Let's check in with Patty for the complete details. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning, Scott. You know, I tell you, if it were still windy like this while that guy was kissing the truck, he'd just be whistling, wouldn't he, this morning? Current temperatures right now throughout the metro. It's 63 in Des Moines, 64 in Ankeny, 59 in Boone. We have a cold front with just some cooler air moving in, and we could see temperatures in the 50s when you're heading out to work for this morning. They should be recovering, though, for this afternoon. We have 68 right now in Knoxville, 67 in Newton, 68 over in Sheraton, and in 50 in Atlantic, we have 57 degrees. Current conditions right now, low pressure. This storm system is really something. Right now, the center of it is just entering Minnesota. We saw the warm front and the warm weather and the nice warm temperatures yesterday, and now that cold front is making its way through Iowa. What it's going to do is lower temperatures into the 50s as you're heading out the door. You'll see cloudy conditions and very windy as well. We have a wind advisory throughout Iowa for today. 20 to 35 mile an hour winds from the northwest and gusting. Yes, very windy for today. High profile vehicles are really going to have to watch it. And that cold front could trigger there we go, a sprinkle or two for today. I think I'm going to have to get off the decaf and back to the regular stuff, although it looks like more of the significant moisture is going to be to the north and the east of us, and that's what the radar is showing. Heavy precipitation over the Great Lakes, some of that still in the form of snow, and we could see an extreme northeast Iowa for today, a chance of a little rain mixed with snow as well. For today, here's what we have, a wind advisory, and we're hoping that by the time you're heading home for today, you'll see about 67 degrees after temperatures take a dip. Winds out of the west, 20 to 35 miles an hour. For tonight, lows getting down to 36. Still kind of windy, though. Northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles an hour. And here's your extended forecast. Except for that slight chance of showers, it looks to be dry again for the next couple of days. We're not expecting much for today as far as those showers. Maybe the next chance will be on Sunday. 53 degrees, a chance of a shower in the forecast. We'll keep our fingers crossed that we get that necessary inch. And it looks like we're going to stay in the 50s through the next few days.
We keep talking about a few more days, a few more days, a few more days, and it never seems to come.
It just keeps being put off, and it gets frustrating sometimes seeing the lawn go brown. And
it'll be nice to see those cooler temperatures and kind of hold off that drying pattern, at least for the next few days.
That's right.
All right. Well, still ahead here on Good Morning Iowa, a man remains trapped under layers of concrete and steel in a General Motors plant. We'll have the latest in our Morning Focus. And a medical breakthrough that will help you swallow a little easier. Stay tuned. Our Morning Focus this half hour takes us to New York. A construction worker is still trapped at a General Motors plant in New York after a concrete and metal wall collapsed on him late yesterday afternoon. Steve Boyer has the latest from New York.
As night fell over the former GM foundry facility, the rescue efforts continued. Eyewitness News has learned that 42-year-old Andy Farber is the worker trapped inside.
We're talking to him. He's got air down there. Again, he's moving his extremities. There's no problem there. It's just moving things bit by bit, getting shoring material to keep the workers safe inside.
The accident occurred at about 4 p.m. GM security and Demco officials, the contractors dismantling this building, notified authorities but said they could handle the rescue. It wasn't until after 5:30, a full 1.5 hours later, that fire rescue crews from Sheridan Park and Brighton were called in to assist.
If this happened at 4 o'clock, why is it that we didn't see fire trucks pulling in until about 10 to 6?
I can't answer that, sir.
As the operation progressed, more equipment was brought in. A doctor arrived and spoke to the victim. Friends of his gathered outside the gate and waited. They did not wish to speak on camera. The work inside is described as tedious. The fire captain described it as digging out pancake layers of debris. He compared it to the wreckage of the Oklahoma City bombing.
We're doing work by hand now. We're passing pieces out. It's almost like the old bucket brigade deal, handing it down. There's a whole line of people. Everybody's working. It's tedious. We're starting to relieve crews. It's going to be a while.
In this morning's medical breakthrough, Cheryl Sutton tells us how doctors are helping patients who can't swallow actually open up.
Sometimes we think about what we eat, but we never really think about how we eat. Debbie Schmidt had so much trouble swallowing, eating was a nuisance.
When food would get stuck, you felt like you couldn't breathe at all. Like only one, either your esophagus was open or your windpipe, and in this case my esophagus was just staying open and it wouldn't go down.
Normally we chew our food and it travels down our esophagus, but some people have a physical narrowing in the esophagus that causes food to get stuck. Debbie's condition was more complicated.
She's got a problem with the muscles of her esophagus don't work, a syndrome that we call achalasia.
A balloon like this finally helped. Doctors pass it down the esophagus and inflate it with just enough pressure to open the tube without doing damage.
What you're trying to do is stretch that muscle and tear it just enough to open it up, but not so much that you make a hole.
Barium x-rays show how the stretching procedure worked for Debbie. Before treatment, this white liquid barium sat in Debbie's esophagus 1, 2, even 5 minutes after she swallowed. After treatment, the liquid flows through the esophagus easily and disappears like normal. For Debbie, eating without pain means a new beginning.
So to come here and have a donut or something, you know, before I would never be even been able to eat this.
And if you'd like more information, you can send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Medical Breakthroughs, P.O. Box 724 here in Des Moines, Iowa, 50303. The decathlon began at the Drake Relays yesterday. Here's Channel 5's Keith Murphy with the details in your morning sports.
Good morning. A career day at the Drake Relays for a former Cyclone. Iowa native Darwin Vanderhoff burns up the track in the final event of day one in the decathlon. Vanderhoff finishes second in the 400 to Kip Janvrin, but Vanderhoff is your leader. Here's the leaderboard with the former Cyclone on top. Mr. Decathlon, Janvrin is second, but he's stronger on day two today, so he could still win it. Brad Swanson third. Iowa State's John Barnett is fifth, and Drake's Ian Tolberg has some work to do today. He's in ninth place. In the heptathlon, Missouri's Ranvai Kovalvik leads a field of 11 at the midway point. Northern Iowa's Kendra Stannard is sixth. Running backs are supposed to be washed up around age 30. So the Kansas City Chiefs must think Marcus Allen has discovered the fountain of youth. They signed him to a 3-year contract. The 8th-ranked rusher in NFL history hinted at the end of last season he might retire, but the two-time Chiefs MVP will try to keep his old legs young for 3 more seasons. He'll be 39 at the end of the contract. I'm Keith Murphy, and that's Morning Sports.
I'm Angela James from Iowa State University. Good morning, Iowa.
Well, when you head out the door this morning, it feels a lot like when you went to bed last night. We are starting off with a very mild Thursday out there. You might want to leave the coats behind today, huh, Patty?
Well, leave the coats behind, but you may need them as you get into the morning rush hour just because temperatures are going to drop into the 50s. But other than that, we are going to stay in the 60s for a good part of the day for today. But look at these wind speeds. There's a wind advisory in Iowa for today, and this is why. We have a cold front moving through right now, and it's really kicking up some winds right now. West to northwest winds in the metro about 16 miles an hour. That's not including the gusts, which have been known to reach about 35 miles an hour, and for today could even reach 50 miles an hour. It's going to be very windy for today. Right now, temperatures 63 in Des Moines, also in Ankeny, 57 up to the north in Webster City, also in Boone. And the cold front right now sitting around Jasper County, getting into Warren County as well. The warmer temperatures with the warmer air. Newton with 66, 68 also as well. And around the region, we have 52 in Minneapolis, 46 in Bismarck, 49 in Sioux Falls, but still very warm down to the east. We have 71 right now in Kansas City, 65 in St. Louis. Current conditions very strong. Storm system right now. Really more of the moisture is going to stay to the north for today, but here's how things look for the forecast. Wind advisory 67 by the time you head home. West winds about 20 to 35 miles an hour. And we could see some sunshine for this afternoon, but we could see some clouds mixed with that as well. For tonight, cloudy skies, 36 degrees. Those west to northwest winds about 20 to 30 miles an hour. And the extended forecast looks like this. That slight chance of showers for this morning will probably be dying down as we get toward the midday for today, and then pretty dry as we get through Sunday, and it looks like we have another chance of showers and 53 degrees. Looks to be pretty cold for the rest of the week. We'll be talking more about your forecast in just a little bit, but right now, back to you, Scott.
When we come back, we're going to recap your morning top story, also give away our free Breakfast Club winners, and Patty's got a final look at your forecast. Stay with us. We want to recap our top story for this Thursday morning. A construction worker is still trapped under a concrete and metal wall that collapsed on him at a General Motors plant in New York. Rescue crews have been on the scene since late yesterday afternoon. The worker is conscious and has been speaking to emergency rescue workers. Well, right after Good Morning Iowa is Good Morning America, so let's see what's next on Good Morning America.
Good morning, I'm Charles Gibson. Spotlight this morning on organ donations. The story is a representative one. Families linked by the organs of a small boy. All the families join us. Leslie Abramson, Menendez defender, and now herself in some hot water, will be here. Newt Gingrich gives us a tour of a famous dinosaur exhibit. Newt Gingrich? Yeah. More of our series on home improvement made easy. And it seems as if bidders might go for Jackie Kennedy table scraps, were any available. How crazy did the bidders go last night? We'll tell you on Good Morning America at 7.
Right now, our concern isn't so much rain, but wind. A wind advisory throughout Iowa for today. And we're going to have winds going from about 20 to 35 miles an hour and gusty for today out of the west to northwest. And right now, it's pretty dry, although we may see a scattered shower through the metro, probably in the latter part of the morning rush hour. Right now, most of those showers are up to the north. Right now, for today, we've got that wind advisory, about 62 degrees by lunchtime. You'll see temperatures might even be in the 50s when you're heading out the door, and a high of 67 for today. And the extended forecast is looking like this. Dry again for the next couple of days, and temperatures in the 50s, just a little below normal. And the next chance we could see significant rain is on Sunday, when we have 53, a chance of a shower or two, overnight lows in the 30s. Monday, cloudy and 56 degrees. Weather school question, we asked you this. The air behind a cold front is usually more humid or less humid? And humid, we just mean not sticky or anything, but has more water in it. Well, the air behind the cold front is usually B, less humid. And you can kind of tell that when we have a cold front move through, things seem to dry out. First, we have some showers kind of trickling through the warm air, but then afterwards, things clear up, dry up, and cool down as well.
Definitely cools things down. It would be nice to see with the warm air we've got and the cold front colliding today, give us a little rain, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
No, just a scattered chance.
The winds will be out there, though. Well, we have two more winners we want to announce in our Breakfast Club. Marvin Engel of Prairie City and Donna McKinley of Rippey. You have just won 2 free breakfasts from Shoney's Restaurant, plus a half gallon of orange juice from Robert's Dairy.
And you can join us, too.
Have a great day.